The Venezuela food crisis is continuing to grow. Oil money has helped lift millions out of poverty, but it's an unstable foundation for an economy, as the dire financial crisis in Venezuela has illustrated. On Saturday and Sunday, shortages got so bad that the government reopened its border with neighboring Colombia to allow Venezuelans to cross over and buy medical supplies and food, Reuters reported. To understand how Venezuela got to this point, you have to go back to 1999 when President Hugo Chavez came to power. A new constitution passed under his watch lowered poverty in the short and medium term, mainly by nationalizing oil fields and using the money to improve social services. Over the first half of the last decade, the quality of life for Venezuelans improved at the third fastest rate globally, with poverty falling by almost half. Then oil prices collapsed. Without strong oil revenues to help fund the government, Venezuela had little choice but to begin printing lots of money. Inflation, when money gets less valuable and people lose buying power, quickly got out of control, and is projected to top 400% this year and 1,640% in 2017, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing the International Monetary Fund. Hyperinflation, when inflation gets that high, happens when people stop trusting their currency. Paper money only has value because people believe it has value. If they lose faith in the currency, they spend it as fast as they can, stocking up on goods they're worried they won't be able to afford tomorrow. This drives shortages, which have gotten so bad in Venezuela that the government basically handed all the food over to the military to ration out. And when food is in such short supply, many suffer. Unfortunately, Venezuela has a historically tense relationship with the US and institutions like the International Monetary Fund, which otherwise might be willing to float it an emergency loan. So without radical changes to its constitution or an enormous spike in oil prices, weekend trips to Colombia may remain the norm for Venezuelan consumers. Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, closed the border to Colombia last year in an effort to crack down on smuggling and crime in border towns. Maduro blamed the Venezuelan food crisis on illegal Colombian immigrants and said they were also responsible for the collapse of the country's currency. According to the Wall Street Journal, in addition to closing the borders last year, Maduro also extended a stay of exception, which allowed soldiers to raid people's homes without warrants in an effort to crack down on crime. At the time, Maduro also stated that the country would welcome up to 20,000 Syrian refugees, despite the fact that his country is facing a catastrophic shortage of food. Quartz reports that because of the food crisis in Venezuela, more than 10% of the population has had to cut at least one meal a day, and teachers are reporting that students are unable to concentrate at school due to hunger. Some kids are missing school because their parents need them to stand in the long lines at supermarkets or are even fainting due to lack of food. Experts in the country are going so far as to say that the Venezuela food crisis is going to set the country back years or even decades. In some states in the country, schools are staying open in the summers so that the poorest kids can receive their free lunches. A survey that was conducted in June showed that for more than a quarter of students, the state-sponsored snack was the only thing they had to eat the entire day, and 86% of students said they would like to stay in school in the summers so that they can eat. The socialist government in Venezuela ordered companies to make sure between 30 and 100% of their food staples such as milk, pasta, oil, and rice were given to state-run grocery stores, according to CBS News. Given that there are more than 15 times as many private grocery stores as there are state-run, Chamber President Pablo Barabar warned the government that this could cause a severe food shortage. The warning fell on deaf ears. In addition to the food crisis in Venezuela, triple-digit inflation, electricity and water rationing, as well as a shortage of basic necessities, are causing widespread protests and outbursts. Reports that one store was expecting a delivery of chicken, prompting people to line up for hours in the hopes of getting some of the scarce meat. When the truck arrived, the National Guardsmen told them to drive on, and chaos ensued. Hungry people tried to loot stores, and protesters shouted "We want food" while they clashed with the lower price of oil and Maduro refusing to take any action. Despite the opposition party winning control of the parliament in the last election, the Venezuela food crisis is only going to get worse. It is not known if the border to Colombia will open again, but this weekend, tens of thousands of people traveled for hours just for the possibility of food and medicine. Zenobia Villegas, a 54-year-old Venezuelan housewife, summed up the state of the country, saying that "we are like a bomb going tick-tock, tick-tock."